Well, hello there. Welcome to 2025. Happy New Year. Good to see you. I was going to have a video for you a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I forget how long it is now. What you're going to see coming up, most of what you'll see is something I actually recorded just after Christmas. Never had time to edit it. Unfortunately, my mother had to go into hospital again on Christmas morning, of all days, about 4 in the morning. Some of you might remember Mum was in hospital back in April. She needed an operation then, but she was sent home and put on a waiting list for it. And unfortunately, things didn't go quite to plan on Christmas Day, and Mum had to go back into hospital and needed that operation. So ended up having it. It's back home now, recovering, doing quite well actually. So that's some good news. And finally, I have time now to bring you this video. So without further ado, I'll bring you that, and then after what I recorded just after Christmas, I have an update from today with some updated results. As promised, I'm finally getting around to giving you an update on soccer price monitor bot strategies. Last time around, and I guess I'll probably put a link somewhere up in one of those corners. I think it's that corner. I can never quite tell. The phone, I always forget whether I'm looking at a mirror image or not, so never mind. Link in one of the corners to the previous video if you're interested, but ultimately I'm doing an update on the strategy from that video and adding a couple more strategies which I think will interest you. One of them that I've added is doing reasonably well. It's slow, but it's quite steady. Another one that I've added is doing much better than I expected it to do. I actually thought it was going to be a bit of a concern, but it's actually surprised me. So all of that to come. First up, though, just a quick reminder of what I'm actually looking at here. So I'll take you into the Soccer Price Monitor bot, and here you can see sort of one of the main screens of the Soccer Price Monitor bot. And I'm just I have here loaded up the current market for a match that's actually already underway, but just having a look here on the prediction tab now. If I just go over to the price tab, you can see these are the current prices for this match. The prediction tab takes a feed of the AI data that's behind the bot, and it has a number of statistics about the match. What I'm most interested in at the moment, and this is what I'm using as the basis for these selections, is the prediction advice. So the AI system, the algorithm behind it, looks at a whole heap of data and then comes up with its own prediction for what the result should be. Now, in this case, it's predicting that ES Tunis will win this match. So that's the basis of this. There's also some more stats in here. You can see there's some more stats in here for this match. Now, go back to the prediction tab, and if I have a look at the next one in the list, this one here is doing a prediction for a double chance market. So I think it's either a draw or the away team in this case. If we have a look, we'll go next down. This one, I think Saudi Arabia will win this one. It's got a Renaissance Berkane winning this one. I'm sure I saw somewhere up here earlier. Here we are. Here's one where it's selecting a double chance, so again, draw or the away team. It's also suggesting there'll be under 3.5 goals scored. So it's those sort of predictions that I'm using as the basis for these strategies. Now we'll start with the first strategy, which is looking at just the predicted winner, where the bot does have one predicted winner. So not the double chance, just where there's an actual predicted winner. And if we look at the previous results, now I think the previous video was done somewhere around this point in time, late October. So at that point in time, it had been doing pretty well for a few weeks in a row. It was up at a good number as it's running total. Hit a bit of a rough patch after that. you can see down and then down again. I made a little adjustment after that, so I increased the minimum price required for the winner. I think it was sitting at pretty much any price. I upped that to 120, which is still a pretty low price, but with the stop at a winner staking basis for at least a 120 price limits the size increase of the stake after a loss just a little bit, which is helpful. Also changed the minimum matched amount on the market to $1,000, or which would be the equivalent of about £500. Just did that so that I can be a little bit more confident that the prices available in the market are in fact about right. So I'm not getting prices that are too low or maybe too high. More likely to get too low than too high, I suppose. But just at least that way I have some confidence that the market is somewhat accurate. Since then, as you can see, so we're looking from here onwards, we can see it's done quite well for the most part. There was, the last week here was a little bit iffy. That one was down, but until that point it's done well. If we just have a look at since the adjustment onwards, it's still up $23. Sorry, no, I'm looking wrong. It's I'm looking down here at Excel's calculation. The average, it's been up $23 a week. Overall, it's up $163 in that time. So it came off a rather low base, and it's slowly worked up. Obviously, it took a bit of a hit there last week, but not too bad this week. If we have a look, we can see back one is currently up $4.40. Now, Christmas week, a little bit strange in terms of match scheduling, I suppose, but it is up. That's a good thing. Have a quick look through some of the tabs, and we can see, so if we look at the first number in the tab profit section here, we can see I've got this set that $3 is the target for each tab. So tab 1's reached target, tab 2 has, tab 3 has, tab 4 has, tab 5 has, tab 6 has not. It's currently down. It's had, looking at here, back one, it's had one win so far. So it's had one win, it's still trying to recover from some losses. Tab 7 has reached the target. Tab 8 has not, hasn't had any wins for back one in that tab yet. Tab 9 has had a winner, still it's trying to get to its target, and tab 10 and beyond have not seen any matches for the strategy. So a rather low volume week so far. Normally back one gets quite a bit of activity early in the week. So look at the settings for back one, and we can see here that it's looking at the match odds market. It's just looking at the predicted winner. If it's in a range of $1.20 to $10, minimum amount matched in the market $1,000. Not really setting anything in terms of limits on prices for the home, away, and the draw. Looking to make $1 per match. Each tab, I did say $3, actually $2.50. Just trying to account for the possibility that in some cases, if the match ends up, if that match sees us get matched at a slightly lower price than the bot's expecting, so I do have the SP as a backup option. If it doesn't get matched at the price it's expecting, it might end up making slightly less profit off that match than expected. But $2.50 is still most likely going to be 3 wins. So 3 wins to get to the target, and then $60 as the target across all of the tabs. Bear in mind there are 20 tabs, so $60 effectively all of the tabs have met their target by that stage if that happens, and a stop loss set at $100, which gives a fair bit of leeway in most cases to get a few losses and then to recover. So that's that strategy. Not using the stats section at all. You can see that's completely empty. Just using the predicted winner as that. So that's working reasonably well. If we look at the spreadsheet again, it's fairly consistent. It's looking at most weeks it's looking at a 60+% strike rate. Some weeks it gets 69 or maybe even 67, 65 there. Last week was an unusually low week with 46, but overall it's doing pretty well. Moving on. The second strategy I'm looking at here is one backing the over 2.5 goals market. And this I'm using the bot's prediction. Now I did originally mean to set this up with the bot's prediction if it was predicting over 2.5 or over 3.5. I figured those would be fairly safe for the over 2.5 market. I set it up incorrectly in the first week by mistake. I set it up, as you can see here, I set it up to use the over 1.5 and over 2.5. That went pretty well in that first week. 2/3 of the matches were winners. Low volume. It's not a lot of matches where it gets that, but low volume. I noticed my mistake and I fixed that for the following week. Had it doing the prediction for over 2.5 or 3.5, and it ended up with many fewer bets. Instead of 24 bets, I only got 13, and surprisingly, a much lower strike rate, only 46%, and a very slight loss, down 68 cents there. So I went back to the over 1.5 or over 2.5 prediction, and back to roughly where I was, about 2/3, and again last week about 2/3. There's very few matches getting bets on here. It's a pretty low volume strategy, but it is making a reasonable little amount. $13 there, down 68 cents there, then up 23, up $6 last week. But overall, that's doing reasonably well. Now, if I have a look at the settings for this one, we can see we're looking at the over, and we're looking at a selection of the over 2.5 goals. Basically looking at very similar settings to the previous strategy. Again, if that's between $1.20 and $10, I need at least $1,000 or £500 matched in the match odds market. So I'm using that as a filter to show that there is actually some interest in the match. And then for the over under 2.5 market, I'm looking for at least $500 matched, or £250, just to be sure again that the market is at least slightly liquid. There's a good chance that there is the odds on the prices on offer are in fact roughly accurate. There is a little bit of money in the market, so there is a little bit of interest. The over-under market doesn't always get a lot of money in it. I could probably remove the requirement for 1,000 in the matched odds market, but I like it as a filter because if people aren't backing someone to win or the draw, then I'm not convinced that the people are really that interested in the over-under market. I'd rather not rely on just the over-under market existing and having money in it. I'd rather have the match odds market have some liquidity in it as well, to show it's not just bots betting in this market, to show there is a little bit of actual interest in the market as well. And I think that as a filter does tend to work reasonably well. Same settings for the per match profit, the tab market profit, the overall profit, and the stop loss. And in the stats, this is the other setting here. The prediction advice for the over market, I've got it set to 1.5 or 2.5. I have plenty of options there. I've got it set to 1.5 or 2.5. So the selection that the bot is trying to bet is over 2.5 if the prediction is over 1.5 or over 2.5. You can see this match here that we're looking at, the prediction is under 3.5, so that wouldn't count for this particular strategy. If I just have a quick click down through some of the matches that are coming up, There's another under 3.5, another under 3.5. Not seeing anything immediately. As I'm filming this, it's just the early hours of Boxing Day as I'm recording this. I'm going to probably release this in a couple of days because I've got a couple of things happening at the moment, but it'll take me a little bit of time to get around to doing editing for this video. But as I record this, it is the early hours of Boxing Day, so it's still Christmas Day in most of the world. So very few matches, and at the moment none in here that are looking at being a prediction of over 1.5 or over 2.5. Plenty of under 3.5s, but nothing on the overs there. So that's all right. The strategy won't pick up anything. As I say, it's a little bit low volume, but it's reasonably consistent so far, which is nice. I don't mind it being low volume if it's consistent. It's a little bit of a concern if it's low volume and inconsistent, but low volume and consistent, I'm happy with that, because that probably works out reasonably well. This being back 2, you can see at the moment it's made $6.72 so far this week, which is roughly in line with where it was last week, and being that we're looking at Christmas Day, Boxing Day to end this week, it's probably not going to do much more than that, but that's fine. For all of these strategies, I generally reset on a Friday morning or possibly Friday afternoon Australian time. So if you're in England, that's somewhere late for Thursday evening, maybe early Friday morning your time. I like to have the bot reset and clear and empty out, ready for all of the weekend matches, because most of the volume occurs over the weekend. That's where I like to have the bot available, to have as many of the tabs available to it as possible. Through the week here, you get some midweek activity, especially where you get some of those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, even either Premier League games midweek, or you get an international break with games midweek. So you do get some volume, but I like to start off with the weekend, where most of the activity is, with the bot able to take as many matches as it can, and then let the tabs that are still open take bets through the week, and then empty it out on the Friday, ready to go for the next weekend. So that brings me to the strategy that's actually been doing much better than I expected it to do, and that's what I've currently got over in back 3. I'll show you the numbers on that in a moment, but first, I mean, you can see just in the bot here at the moment, it's up $39.07 for the week, which is much more than the other strategies are. Now we're looking here at the double chance market, and I'm looking at the home or draw as the selection. If I have a look in the stats tab, you can see we're doing this if the double chance selection is home or draw. Now the bot doesn't have an option to just take the prediction, and so I can't just tell it to select whatever the prediction is in the double chance market. I have to specify one of these, and then in the stats tab tell it which prediction I'm looking for. I'm okay with that because there's a lot of matches where there's a double chance prediction, and generally home teams have a slightly better record than away teams, so I'm actually happy to take the home or draw as the prediction. So if the prediction is home or draw, I'll bet home or draw. I'm therefore ignoring matches where the prediction is draw or away. And you can see in the bot here, the match that I've currently got loaded here, it is the away team, it's draw or away is the prediction, so that wouldn't get a bet in the system. Nonetheless, double chance, home or draw, is quite high volume compared to the other strategies, but it's doing quite well. Now, I was a little bit concerned because the double chance market tends to have quite lower prices in it, so I wasn't sure what the strike rate was going to be. I was concerned that it would be quite low, and with the volume of bets, I was concerned that could actually result in hitting stop losses quite quickly. I've been pleasantly surprised. That hasn't been my experience at all. In fact, what I've seen is that yes, it's high volume, but it's actually doing quite a bit better in terms of strike rate than the other strategies. Let's go to the spreadsheet. And if I just load that page, here we go. So, sure, I've only had it running one full week, and we're in the second week now. But I've been quite surprised. You can see in that first week it had a 79% strike rate, almost 80%, which I was expecting it to be much worse than that. I was expecting maybe 50-60% at best. So to be somewhere near 80% is quite extraordinary. Now, you can see here it made $4.89 in that week because as I said, I was a little bit concerned about what it would do. So I started off with a 10-cent target rather than a $1 target. So if I'd started at a $1 target, it would have made $48 in that week. It made $4.89 off the 10-cent target. So if we have a look, it managed to use all 20 tabs. 12 of them reached the profit target. That is, they got 3 winning bets in them. And then those tabs closed. There were 8 other tabs that were in progress and were in profit at the time where I closed it off. So it had used all 20 tabs. None of them were showing a loss at the time where I closed them at the end of the week. If we have a look at the tab for the results for the current week, and so we're in back 3, so it will be the third number here. We can see we've got target reached in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tabs by the looks of it. Yeah, 10 tabs. Oh, there's another one, so that makes 11. That one's down. Okay, so 11 tabs so far have reached the profit target for this week. We can see this tab here is at $2.76. Presumably this bet here got matched at slightly higher price than it was expecting. It might have been expecting a $1.20 and it got $1.21, which, because of the stake size, resulted in a bigger win than it expected. Not by much, but it's at $2.76, whereas I would have expected that to should be closer to $2, but it got $2.76 so far with 2 winners, so that's nice. In fact, that means that tab's also reached its target, because the target is set at $2.50. So although that tab hasn't reached $3, it is over $2.50, so that tab's actually reached its target. We have tab 13 has reached its target. Tab 14 is currently down. It's had 1 win, 2 losses. We'll see if that recovers or not. Today, I'd suggest with the low volume of matches, probably won't. It probably won't get any more bets, but we'll see what happens. And then tab 15 is up. It's had 2 wins. Tab 16 has had 1 win. Tab 17 has had 1 win. Tab 18 has not had any bets at all yet. So far, it looks like it's probably tracking at about a similar strike rate, which is good. So it's doing quite well. As I said, currently up $39.07, which is a little bit behind where it was last week, considering last week would have been $48 off the week if it was at the same target. But Christmas week, lower volume, I'm not surprised that it's just a little bit lower. So, some updated results for you. Now that week, the Christmas week, there were actually quite a few matches. At the end of that week, Boxing Day, around the world actually had more matches than I realised. Things, of course, were a little bit busy at that time for me, so I haven't really looked at the schedule. It looked a little empty on Boxing Day in Australia, but of course that was still Christmas Day for most of the world. The next day, Boxing Day for the rest of the world, looked quite busy in terms of matches, so things actually went pretty well for that. If we have a look at the spreadsheet here, So this week here for that back one, the match winner system actually came out pretty well, making 23.88 in the end off a smaller number of matches. It's really the week following, the one that's just ended last week, that the New Year week, that ended up being quite a low number of matches. So if we have a look, you can see only 23 matches there. Still decent strike rate, and it did come out ahead there. So this system's more or less getting closer to making up its ground there. If we have a look at the back two, the over 2.5 system, that's done pretty well through. The strike rate's been pretty much the same, even with a smaller number of matches. It's still managing to do a reasonable amount. Back three, the double chance one. Now that's been interesting. That Christmas week ended up doing quite well in the end. Last week didn't. Slight reduction in strike rate, smaller number of matches. Maybe with more matches that one would have done a bit better. Who knows? It might have recovered some of that, but either way, it didn't do too badly, and it's looking like it's on track probably to recover for this week. So if we have a look in the bot, you can see that back three so far this week is up 32.40, which if we compare that to the spreadsheet, that's almost made up last week's losses. So that's good. Back two currently up $6 this week. Back one currently up almost $19 this week. And I've started testing on the lay systems. Lay 1, lay 3, I've had a little bit of activity. Lay 2, not much. Not really ready to bring you too much information on the lay strategies yet. Still plenty of testing to go with those. But the backing strategy is fairly happy with where they are. Might be time to start looking at some progression of staking from one week to the next. But I'll have to have a little think about that and run a few numbers and see what would be most appropriate there. Links in the description below, as I said, and some of you may have received an email from Steve or Michael with details of a staking plan that I've been working on with them, hard and soft staking, which I was hoping to be a little bit more involved in the launch of that, but circumstances haven't allowed, obviously. I will bring you some more details on that in the next, I don't know. Currently things are a little bit busy still, but I'll bring some more information to you on that sometime soon. So until I see you again, happy punting.